Welcome back to another kind of funny Pixar in review. It's finally the Friday after E3, after all the insanity. This is the final piece of content that this group of people are going to be on this week, and damn, that feels very good. And we're bringing the good energy. I can already feel it. We've been low for a while, but we're about to skyrocket for this because this is Pixar in review. Of course, I'm Tim Gettys, joined by the Nitro Rifle, Andy Cortez.
Good afternoon, everybody.
The big dog, Kevin Coelho.
What's up?
It's Christmas in June, Joey Noel.
I'm just going to finish power washing these stairs on this house, and then we'll be good to go.
Nick, I'm in the next house. Did you find loot in there?
Yeah, but shoot me an invite.
The producer / seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Tim, up where they walk, up where they run,
Yeah.
up where they eat the gelato all day in the sun. That is this movie.
That is this movie. That's amore. That's amore. This is Kind of Funny's Pixar in Review. Our show in review happens twice a week where we rank and review all of our favorite and sometimes not so favorite movie franchises. Right now, we are doing Pixar and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Next week, we are making the glorious return to theaters with Fast 9. God, I can't wait. But you can get the show on youtube.com/kindoffunny or roosterteeth.com. If you want to get it as a podcast, search your favorite podcast service for Kind of Funny in Review, and we'll be right there for you. If you want to get the show ad-free, and if you want to watch it live as we record it, you could be like our very cool Patreon producers, Donovan Harkness and the Protagonist, which is just such a dope name, by going to patreon.com/kindoffunny, and you won't need to hear anything about ads like Fayerty Brand and Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade that we'll be telling everyone else about later. But let's get right into it. Today, we are talking about Luca, a movie that has absolutely nothing to do with Lin-Manuel Miranda. I was misled. I am sorry. Last week, I told everybody that it was. That's a Disney project called Encanto that's coming out some other time. Today, we're talking about Luca. I kept waiting for him to come up. Like, it's not happening. And it also doesn't really make sense. Whatever.
Also, not about the Dallas Mavericks standout shooting guard / power forward, small forward. I thought it was going to be a basketball movie. I was sorely mistaken.
We're talking about Luca, a runtime of 1 hour and 35 minutes, released June 18th, 2021. We just watched it today because that is the day we are recording this on Disney Plus. It was directed by Enrico Casarosa, an Italian storyboard artist and film director who works at Pixar. In 2012, he was nominated for an Academy Award for the animated Pixar short film La Luna. I don't know if you guys remember that. That was a good one. He worked as a background designer and storyboard artist on a whole bunch of different things. But Joey, you'll know him best from the animated series 101 Dalmatians. But more importantly, PB&J Otter.
Which one was he?
He was the one that did the noodle dance. No, he just did the background design. You know. Then we got...
God, what a jam.
Yeah, Joey knows what's up. But then moving on, he then is a story artist on Cars, Ratatouille, Up, Cars 2, and he helped out with Brave, Good Dinosaur, and then eventually was the story artist on Coco. The music for this one was done by a dude named Dan Romer, which is kind of interesting. No real kind of score history of notes that I could find. But
what? We need Giacchino. We like... For this movie, if anyone.
Yeah, that's a good point. But no, this guy is best known for producing some Shawn Mendes hits and some Christina Aguilera bangers. None of which I recognize the name of, but they're 6 times platinum. So
shit.
Good for you.
So we're
good
wrong
for you,
there,
Dan Romer. This movie's budget, I don't know. It's not out there yet. And with these Disney Plus things, sometimes they can get hard. And box office, yeah, right, baby. That ain't happening. It's Disney Plus. We're streaming. How does that make you feel, Kevin?
It's fucked up what they're doing at Pixar, guys. It's
the amount of times in the last 2 weeks that Kevin has said that same sentence verbatim. It's fucked up what they're doing at Pixar.
So funny.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, let's see what else I got.
Why not also do a theatrical release? Why not?
You know, Kevin, it's fucked up what they're doing at Pixar.
It is. You don't think they got like this isn't adding people. I'm gonna say that right now. Low-key adding people. You know what I mean? Like they would have done it next month. It's ridiculous.
I'm thrilled to let you know that Pixar has officially announced they are returning to theaters in 2022 with the movie Turning Red, where the young child turns into one of those tanukis. Yeah.
Sweet.
That's pretty
Don't
cool.
get the Tanuki, Nick.
Guys,
Don't
the last 2 theatrical releases for Pixar's were not good, right? Well, I guess what was the one before
Onward?
Onward was good.
Soul.
Yeah, but it didn't do well.
Soul was in
very
between.
poorly. No, but before Onward, Joey, the wrong way.
You're saying the box office wasn't great for the last
Good
two
Dinosaur
Pixar
hurt
movies.
them. That was a bad year
Toy Story
for them.
4?
Yeah, all right. That was fine. That's probably all right, huh? All right. No, but wasn't that the first Toy Story to make less money than the last?
I have no idea. I can look that up, and I will.
I'm just saying, Pixar might not be long for this world. And is it Disney's fault? Are they planning this? Look into it, guys.
Kevin's calling her right now. Disney.
Are they planning to make less money?
Like, we spent the last 10 weeks talking about the Pixar theory, and somehow this is worse.
Yeah.
You guys, Disney can't steal the artists from Pixar. They've got, like, rules in place. So they have to kill them first.
Yeah, kill them all.
Think about it.
Emeryville, Kevin, you're making a lot of sense. You're making no sense and a lot of sense.
The facts that I have for you for this are few, but powerful. This is the second Pixar movie not to feature John Ratzenberger in a voice role.
How do they not do it?
Which
Honestly,
it's weird. I was
rude.
trying to look into it, and I couldn't figure out. There's no why. But interesting thing is, since this movie just came out, we might eventually find something. But it was eventually revealed that he was in Soul. He just wasn't a voice. A character model in the background was him.
It's different.
So
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's weird.
Different.
Kind of weird. But anyway, that's what I got for you there. And then just some fun things that you guys might not know about the casting. The two main characters, Luca and Alberto, voiced by Luca Jacob Tremblay, who was the main star of the movie Good Boys a couple years ago. But most famously as the young boy in the movie Room with Brie Larson, which was freaking fantastic.
Wow. Very well.
And then Alberto Scarfano, which, God, I can't wait to talk about this movie with Nick. The whole time I was like, oh, we're about to get real Italian in this motherfucker. Is Jack Dylan Graziger, who is from It, but we know him more from Freddy. Graziger?
Grazer. Jack Dylan Grazer. Yeah.
Jack Dylan Grazer. We know him as Freddy in Shazam.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah, he was good in that movie.
Yeah.
Got it.
So let's start this off. Nick Scarpino, let's start with you, the most Italian person I know. What did you think about Luca?
I liked it. I think it's a very simple movie. I think it's kind of treading on well-worn territory. I think it's kind of a combination for me about like The Little Mermaid and Finding Nemo, which is fine. I mean, if you're going to combine those two movies for me and put a little Italian spin on it, who am I to disagree with you? And of course, it's got a lot of Italian heritage baked into it, which is near and dear to my heart. And hearing a lot of the actual Italian voice actors do the roles is great. I think that might be my very minor criticism is that obviously like Jacob Tremblay is not Italian. And so when he's speaking with more of a standard American accent. And when he goes into the Italian, it's good. He's got a good accent, but it kind of takes you out of it a little bit, specifically like, especially when a lot of the supporting characters do it a little bit better. But that's a minor criticism.
Well, Nick, I do need to stop you here because there was a new podcast segment that we added that we haven't talked about in a while, but it feels like the best time to bring it up now, which is accent or ascent. Is what we called it.
Is that what we called it?
Hit me with the theme song for accent.
God,
or
you gotta
accent.
prep me because the first time I sang this song, it was fucking good, and I thought of it on the spot, and I don't even know. Like Tim, I had been meaning to go back and look for that episode because I on the spot created one of the biggest masterpieces I've ever made, and you can't do this to me right now.
Not me. It's the movies. You know what I mean? I don't make the rules.
It's the fucking movies, man. God damn it! I'm so pissed off.
He's stalling so hard right now.
You can still have a couple more things to say if you want to remember it. If you want to figure it out.
I remember rhyming accent with what did it? How did it meant? Or I forgot what the rhyme was, man. Just fucking go on, man. I'm pissed off with this. It's so unprofessional of you.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast. Accent or Ascent? Is that what we say? Is that what we said?
Like the way it's written is ACCENT or all caps ASS lowercase ENT.
Oh,
yeah. How do you pronounce
got
it?
it?
Yeah.
Got it. No, I think overall, I mean, like, listen, I don't speak fluent Italian, and I think it's always just super fun when they kind of go into it. But it was just a little bit weird that the three kids just kind of felt like, I don't think they nailed the essence of it quite like the supporting cast. But what I was going to say was, it didn't ruin the movie for me by any stretch of the imagination. It was just one of my minor criticisms until we got to the best scene and the best lines of dialogue in any Pixar movie that made me laugh out loud so much, I rolled it back and wrote them down, played by Uncle Ugo, who is the best character, who is Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah, Sacha Baron Cohen.
When we got to that scene, I was like, all is forgiven. This is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, when the end credits rolled, I was like, I wonder if they're gonna do a post credit thing. And when I scrolled through it, I saw Uncle Luca. I was like, this is perfect. It's perfect.
It's funny because he's not Italian at all, right?
No, God, no. But he is.
But he nailed it, right? Yeah.
Oh God, he nailed it.
Character. I don't like that
amazing.
he ends up with the sheep. That's some weird.
With Giuseppe,
Giuseppe, baby.
Punch the heart. Punch his heart.
Punch his heart. That was funny. That was a good scene.
I thought it was a little bit more like kid-like movie. And I'm not a big fan of when they do those, but honestly, it was a lot of fun. The entire movie, like, it made me really miss Italy. Like, I know it's not based off the Amalfi Coast, but it looks like the Amalfi Coast, and like, I really, really missed that.
Almost
like being in there. Huh?
Wow, good. That was good. That was good. That was good. We're gonna give you credit for that, Tim.
But
you
yeah,
get 6 out of 10 for that joke.
I thought it was fun. For the most part, I was like, oh, this is a fine movie. And then like the ending, it did its job. You know, by the end, I was like, oh, I'm feeling some shit right now. You know, I'm feeling like this little, this one-armed man coming out and like just clearly being friends with everyone. I was like, oh my God, I love it. Yeah, yep. He knows who they are.
Andy?
I think I'm probably going to be the most high on this movie than anybody here. I thought it was amazing. I really enjoyed it. It, like Nick mentioned earlier, doesn't do anything crazy story-wise. It's your pretty kind of standard fish out of water, for lack of a better term. And I think it works perfectly. And I think the actors do a great job, and they create enough tension, and there's enough laughs. I think it's just like a really solid movie without really many flaws. Like, there was nothing that really stuck out to me. It's fast. The pacing is really, really good. I didn't find myself wanting a scene to be over. And by the end of it, I'm bawling my eyes out. I miss my family, man. I'm just like crying in my room, dude. It's fantastic. I thought it was a really, really good movie. And again, just like Kevin mentioned, they nailed the ending. They did what needed to be done in order to get that emotion out of you. And I thought it was awesome as hell. Good movie. Really, really good movie.
Jojo?
I think it's good to fine in terms of Pixar stuff. It wasn't one that I felt like particularly emotionally resonated with me. I think, yeah, as Nick said, it's pretty well-treaded territory. To me, it reminded me of really important cinematic film, Aquamarine, and also Ponyo. Kind of a combination of those two. I think I would probably rather watch Ponyo if I was given the choice between the two in some arbitrary decision. But I liked it. I think I agree with Andy that like it's paced really well, and like nothing ever feels drawn out, and like everything kind of is kept at a quick pace, which I appreciate. And I love that it's only 90 minutes. But it was really pretty. I just didn't feel like the story was like anything particularly special.
Yeah, I mean,
lots of film grain.
I'm there with you, Joe, where I feel like it's a bare bones story, and for lack of a better term, I think they could have fleshed out some of the side characters and some of those B stories with it. But
so like the flesh because they turn human. Like, is that?
Yeah, they get flesh.
They're human.
You're the only person in the world that would describe what happens to them as they get flesh. But okay.
I'm sorry. Wait, can we go? Let's dial it back here 5 minutes ago to your banger. That was the 6 out of 10. Okay. We got Friday energy, guys.
I can't even
almost
do it. I'm kind of in a nice little mix of where everyone else is at on this. I don't think that it is spectacular by any means. I don't think I'm ever going to want to watch it again, but it, like Andy said, like there's not really any flaws to it. Like I think it's very, very good. It's extremely beautiful. Like there was multiple times I like stopped and rewound a bit just to watch like a different part of the frame to see how the water moves and how the water interacts with the different things. Like the way that the water glistens in so many different ways, depending on what time of day it is and all that stuff. It was so impressive. And like their use of, instead of sand, it being the little rocks, like the entire time I'm like, these motherfuckers did the Pixar thing of just like, they didn't need to go this hard, but they did, you know? And I really appreciate that. I liked all the characters. I think the villain and his squad are classic Pixar-y type things, but it really worked for me. I thought it was funny, and I thought that the three main kids were really, really endearing. And by the end of it, I was like, man, this really came together and really worked for me. I thought that the kind of like that the race part didn't hit high as I wanted it to. It totally worked, but I kind of expected more. I'm so used, especially after watching these movies week to week, I want to see that everything that was said in the beginning starts to come back, and I kind of feel like it happened to an extent, but it wasn't in an interesting way. But the moment where the two boys kind of like betray each other, and
Oh,
that was brutal.
Luca and
when he goes sea monster, Alberto.
When
Yeah.
Alberto like leaves him and goes into the water, it's like, oh no. But then when he like turns like it's a sea monster, I was like, holy shit.
Ooh, that
hit.
Out loud, I was like, oh no.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
messed up.
shout out to you, Pixar. Like that
Right.
wasn't cheap. It was not a cheap move. It was a impactful
was
move
good.
because they built their relationship in a way that I really cared about. I love the bros being bros aspect of this whole movie. That is something that's very near and dear to my heart. And I think that they played it really well when he came back. It was predictable, but him coming back with the umbrella, just the little thing of seeing the drawing with that, I'm like, you motherfuckers, man. And I really enjoyed it. And I loved that it was such an easy watch. There was never a moment that I'm like, it was always just like, yeah, these motherfuckers, like, even when it's not the best thing ever, it's still really damn good.
Yeah, and I'm sort of reminded of, I think one reason why I'm more high on it is I'm reminded of watching Cars 2 and watching Brave and kind of feeling underwhelmed for the most part. And I think this movie just did a really damn job of being really, really solid. I love the art style also. I'm so used to, I mentioned it in another episode, but it may have been Brave actually, but how Disney animation has their look and they have their style. And, you know, you could put a character from Tangled in Frozen and a character from Frozen into Tangled, and the human characters always have the same sort of generic look. But with this one, one thing that you will notice upon maybe if you rewatch it or just look at some clips is they do a lot of 2D animation things in 3D where the mouth very reminiscent of like Wallace and Gromit, and if they're looking to the side, you're going to see the mouth on the side of their face. And it just kind of switches depending on where they're facing. And I really liked that for some reason. I thought that was a cool little technique.
Let's go ahead and that.
Yeah, and there's tons of, I mean, there was like a lot of film grain, which I thought it was like a little overdone. And I wonder if that's because maybe they had to maybe cheapen out on the rendering process, because when I'm at the end of the credits, it says, this movie was made at Pixar Animation Studios and in pajamas all around the Bay Area. And so, you know, there was a lot of people working from home on this film. And so I wonder, like, you know, maybe that sort of hindered some of the process. But I thought the art style was gorgeous. And yeah, I just, maybe that's why I'm a little bit higher on it. Like after, I know we watched Monsters University and I enjoyed that. But after Brave and Cars 2, I felt like we were going to be hitting that lull. And I'm kind of used to this sort of middle ground where people say, oh, this is where Pixar kind of falls off a bit. And especially this being a more recent movie, I wasn't expecting a whole lot of it, but I enjoyed it a lot. I really like this movie.
I thought the overall look was like kind of more due to the fact they were sort of paying homage to like the old school Italian movies, like Fellini flicks and stuff like that. And I just like, and I agree with you, anyway. And just the look and the style of this film is so fun. The way they started off, the old music that they pick, all of it just feels like, and Kevin knows what I'm talking about. You want to just jump on a Vespa, have a couple of espresso, and just ride off into the sun.
So badly.
You know, on a warm Italian day, and that, and they nailed that vibe for sure.
When you were talking about how you felt about it early on, Nick, and you said, you know, it's kind of your run of the mill story, and I don't know why I just thought like, yeah, you know, they're always doing the Italian and sea monsters thing. Like, there's always like, it's such a stereotype.
Every time. Can't tell you how many episodes of Friends were the Italian sea monster episode.
It's always Mexican cartels in Mexico, and it's always Italians and sea monsters. I'm sick of it.
So
Sick of the stereotypes.
Going off of what Andy's saying about the visuals, I loved, and again, this is another well-worn territory type thing, but I thought they did a really good job with all of the fantastical elements of any time he's kind of like daydreaming about the different things of the fish in the sky and like all that, or like being on the Vespa and its different iterations. I loved the kind of melding of 2D and 3D elements depending on what was around him, and I thought it looked very pretty. And I also like the use of real movies. Like there was a couple shots of you'd go by a house and you see like old people, Pixar characters on a TV watching real life, like live action movies and stuff. And that stuff's always just super fun. We got a little bit of that in Wall-E, but seeing it here, especially it being the old Italian movies, it's like they really nailed that the vibe of it all. Kev, I do want to give you the update on the Toy Story box offices, and I know we've already done these in review, but I am surprised by these numbers. Toy Story 1, 373 million. Toy Story 2, 497 million. Toy Story 3, 1.067 billion.
Yeah.
Toy Story 4, 1.073 billion. Toy Story 4 was the most money made of a Toy Story movie.
I don't know. That was almost the. Kevin was almost right.
Wow. Yeah. No, that's crazy, man. Almost right. There you go. Thanks, Nick.
And
Thanks for bringing it back. And with
trying
that,
to Pixar with that. It's ridiculous.
let's get to the book.
I also just wanted to point out some of the techniques in which the film is kind of. It felt very un-Pixar-like, with you talking about how those imagination scenes happen, and then the moments where he's sitting there with Alberto and he's like, all right, I gotta go. And then 2 hours later, 45 minutes later.
So funny.
That was such a great little moment. And that seems like something that you don't see in a Pixar movie all too often. And I wonder if that is because the old guard maybe kind of, like there's new faces kind of getting jobs after they've been working as supervisor roles on, like you just mentioned, he worked on a bunch of other Pixar movies. And I that kind of excites me to see these newer kind of ideas brought in. And I hope to see more of that. I hope to see Pixar kind of messing with editing in a more fun way, like that moment where have you been all day? And zooms in like, don't say the surface, don't say the surface. Yeah. This surface. Like that's silly shit that I don't really typically expect. That's more like just sitcom type humor that I enjoy. So I hope to see more of that stuff. Please tell us the story. Yeah, Nick, tell us the story.
Here is the story for the movie Luca. Silenzio, Bruno. We start with a little lovely Italian song while two fishermen fish near an island, quote, full of sea monsters. The old man tells his younger counterpart not to worry about it. Those are just old wives' tales to ward people off from a good fishing spot. But soon enough, a sea monster creeps up from the depths and starts just jacking all their stuff. And of course, they freak out. The next morning, Luca wakes up. All of his fish are out of the barn and they sound like sheep. And already I'm like, yep, that's funny. Why shouldn't they sound like sheep? Luca wants to get out there and see the world. And we're like, I don't know. I don't remember another movie where little fish people wanted to become human. Up where they are, it doesn't matter. This is a perfectly brand new concept, Tim. Forget everything.
I have a question.
Yes.
Nick, did you laugh when the little fish popped out of the bigger fish's mouth?
Everything about these stupid fish is hilarious.
It's
so funny.
There was a couple things about this that made me question, and it's too early to get a lot of the Pixar theory and like see where crazy people like put this all together.
Right.
But watching this did make me think like, okay, so if it is connected, they're obviously not the talking fish yet. We haven't got to Nemo land. They're still like they're just fish. But also these people, these sea monsters, they're so willing to sell out their fish friends. Like they get to the surface and all of a sudden it's just like, oh, we can go get you some fish.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, I thought that was weird.
That was
brutal out here.
But
I
also,
thought that was
must
maybe
eat fish, right?
I think they eat fish.
Yeah,
poop,
they eat fish, but I really think that that's part of the, hey, Alberto, don't get mad at your friend for selling you out. You sold out that gigantic community of fish. Like they're wiped out.
I think
there's
maybe
sons and daughters that don't have parents anymore.
An interesting point though, because he was a fish herder. What do you do with those fish if after you're done herding them?
You pull the scales off and you use that for making clothes, right?
I guess. Well, you're using them for something, but that was a weird point too, where I was like, they're gonna have to save the fish, right? And he's like, and then they just come back with hella fish. I'm like, okay, these guys are monsters.
But I don't think you can take fish scales off with them still alive.
Yeah, you can. It's very painful. Yeah.
Oh.
See, what's funny is I was like, I don't know if Kevin's right. He's smarter than me.
They probably just eat the fish, right? They're probably
sure
raising them for food.
It was a weird thing. So like, I will say the first like, go ahead, Kev.
I was gonna say that makes the relationship with Giuseppe really kind of fucked up. Then
Sad. Yeah, it's like if you were like, hey, I love you, Moose, but eventually I'm gonna snap that neck and just suck the blood out of your neck. You know, just pull it off.
Oh my gosh.
I know, Joey. We think about it all the time. How easily we could kill these little beautiful things. I see my neighbor's cat, and I'm like, one of these days.
What do you
Stop leaving paw prints on my car.
gosh.
I'm joking around. I don't have.
Stop leaving paw prints on my car. What the actual fuck?
I'm joking around. I don't have a neighbors.
No, I do have a neighbor. They do have a cat, but it doesn't get on my car.
I create these confrontations in my head.
There's a lot of asteroids crashing around in the old noggin. Anyway, I will say the movie kind of started off a little slow for me. I think the first act up until they go to the human world, it's a little slow for me. But it's fun. But I'm like, I wish we could have gotten there a little bit faster. But they have to develop the relationship with Alberto, and then they have to get to the human town, and it's like it kind of feels weird.
As soon as he meets Alberto and goes up into land and like starts like putting together the Vespa, and we do that like jump, I'm so in. Where it's like this friendship is fucking real. I'm so invested. Yeah,
and I love one thing I appreciate a lot about it, Kevin, is that there wasn't like this gigantic, long, drawn out setup for why you shouldn't go to the surface.
Mm-hmm.
And we get there pretty quickly, and like we get there a lot faster than I ever think we do. I think it's going to be like this,
But
maybe 30, 45 minutes of him being like, should I not go up there? I'm kind of worried. No, man, he's up there already, and he meets his best friend, and it's great.
Yeah, but see, for me, I think that maybe is a part of the movie that's lacking is with Finding Nemo, right? One of the reasons why we really don't want to go out of the ledge is what it's called, what they called it, or the bluff, whatever it was because there are sharks out there, and there was very real consequences in the form of like Nemo's mom and like all of their kids got eaten. And so to me, that makes it a little bit more the dramatic tension a little bit higher when you end up going out there and the stakes are higher, right? And in this one, they're like, don't go to the surface. It's very dangerous. And then like in a split second, everyone in the town is like, okay, you're cool. There's sea monsters, which is a little hard sell for me, even in a Pixar movie, but whatever. There's Vespas also, so all is forgiven.
I love the reveal, though, of there also being other people that were sea monsters in disguise. It was such a fun day. Like, the end really brought this movie together in a way that was like, this is great.
Was that the grandma?
Yeah, the grandma. She's like, I've been coming here every weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
funny.
She was going there every weekend to begin with, right?
Well, that's why she covered for him, because she knew what he was doing.
No, but I think she actually did go up there all the time. And
I didn't catch that part. I just caught that she covered for Luca, and you didn't know why, but it turns out because she's been partying in the town for a while.
I thought she was the older woman because there was two women revealed, right? But I guess I didn't notice if they were the same.
No, they were just the two. They were the two ladies, kind of just in the town.
Yeah.
They call them stupido.
But the grandma was actually going because we do see her later, and she makes some reference of knowing somebody from the past. Yeah,
that's funny. Anyway, Luca wants to be out there, seeing the world, out where they sing, up where they play, whatever. You got that? I did that joke already, Tim. Let's move past it. One of his fish, Giuseppe, keeps trying to sneak off, and he has a funny little eye, and it's funny. Luca herds the fish back into the school and brings them safely back to the grazing area, stopping momentarily to make sure no fishermen are around. Giuseppe spots an alarm clock from the human world, and soon the scene is interrupted by a land monster. Luca dreams of going up to the surface, but can't quite break through the top layer of the water, which I think is really, really cool visually, where he's like trying to burst through and it keeps pushing him down like it's a bubble. And then his mom calls him home and we get introduced to the whole family. Luca asks where boats come from. His mom freaks out and she says, "You never go near the surface. It's super dangerous up there. They hate us. We're sea monsters." But Luca's curiosity gets the better of him and he immediately heads back to that grazing area where he finds a trail of human things. And that ends with it was the same thing that fell off the boat from the night before. And of course, he looks and it ends with that record player, the old record player, which distracts him and allows Alberto to sneak up on him in the form of an old diving suit. So he thinks it's a human at first, and Alberto kind of gets a laugh at it. He's like, "I'm not a human. I'm Alberto." And he drags Luca up to the land. And when Luca's like, "I can't go up there. It's going to kill me," whatever. And then he becomes a little boy. And I was like, oh, okay. I see where this movie's going. I understand the poster art now, Tim, because I didn't see any sea monsters on it, and now I understand what's going on. The next morning, Luca wakes. Luca makes a stone statue. Sorry, he freaks out and he has to go away, and he wishes Alberto a good day. He's like, "Good day, sir. Good day," and then rolls back into the water and bounces out. The next morning, Luca makes a stone statue of himself to watch over the herd and tries to muster the courage to breach the waterline once again, but he cannot. Thankfully, Alberto interrupts and ushers him ashore, and then teaches him all about the phantom tail and how to walk. And it's a fun scene where he's like, just put one foot in front of the other, and then right when that foot's about done, just replace it with the other one. I forget how he phrased it, but it was cute.
He's about falling and like
catch yourself
before you fall. Let's fall forward, and then you push your foot forward to catch yourself or something like that.
I think I can already tell why I like this movie a lot, and even though it isn't the most dense story wise or anything like that, and at the end, everybody's like, cool, there's sea monsters here. Perfect. That I think why that stuff doesn't affect me a whole lot is that I just love the characters. I think that's what it is. I love the characters and I love the dialogue, and I'm willing to, look past any glaring story issues that you may kind of think, that's a little too convenient, or really they're just kind of accept all this shit.
Yeah.
I think it's the characters and just how, they just become great friends. And I think when you have a really good writing team and really good dialogue, that I'm in regardless.
Yeah, I agree, Andy. I think they nailed the sort of the child wonderment of that age, where you're like, they're all making shit up, and he's like, where he gets to the scene where he's like, what are those things? He's like, oh, they're anchovies. He's like, he just takes his word for it. That's what you did when you were kids. You didn't know.
And not only the way that they're animated, but all those little conversations they have together. Joey already mentioned the Ponyo reference, but I got a lot of just other Miyazaki kind of vibes from it, just in how the kids acted and the way it didn't really feel like these were adults writing lines for kids. And that's always super important. You can always kind of tell when a 48-year-old writer is trying to write for a 13-year-old teenager or something. And I just didn't get that vibe. Ninja Turtles, yes.
They're what? Wait, they're ninjas and they're turtles? No, that's not gonna work.
Yeah, so I think that's a huge thing, is that these kids felt like kids and they had that joy and that wonderment, and I thought it was fantastic.
I think it works really well with that, because the more absurd elements of the plot I can kind of not write off, but like I think are explained by how the characters act, where it's not our reality, it's the reality they're in. Like even the mom brutally attacking children with water in various ways is just so ridiculous, and the bad guy
where are the cops?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it's so over the top where you need to immediately get past there is an adult man with two sidekick children bullying every child in this town to a ridiculous degree, including throwing harpoons. It's like, I don't know about that. He was not 16. Yeah. I don't believe it. That was a 45-year-old man, right there.
He's a 45-year-old man with whiskers. That's what he does.
He couldn't even grow a mustache.
I mean, some Italians can. Others, we have hair everywhere that we don't want hair except for our head. Unfortunately, Alberto and his father, of course, turns out lived in an old abandoned structure that I think may have been like a windmill or something like that. But he teaches Luca about the human world. Well, that helps. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. He's been collecting human stuff for a while, including a magic lady singing machine that's broken. But of course, Luca fixes it by just cranking the thing. He's like, oh my God, you fixed it. And then reveals the greatest things human have ever made, the Vespa. And Luca sees a poster of it that says Vespa e libertà, which means Vespa is freedom. And Luca asks, I keep saying Lucas, excuse me. Luca asks him if he's going to make one because he's got all the parts. And Alberto's like, we can't do that. Actually, we can do that. Let's do it. You want to help? And then Luca, this is the best part. And he's like, always like, there's no way I can help. Absolutely no way I help. I have to get home. My parents will kill me. If I stay, I'm sorry. There's just no way I can help. And then it goes 1 hour later. He's like, now I really got to get home. Then it's just 45 minutes later. He's like, seriously, I have to go now, like right now. 2 hours later, they've completed the Vespa.
It's just so charming and adorable.
Real too.
Our childhoods, like that's exact. Like that's happened to me so many times, specifically with Tim.
It still happens to me.
Yeah.
The amount of trouble we'd get in because it was like you need to be home by dark. That's the only thing that's like, well, I could get on the bus in 20 more minutes. It'll be fine.
Yeah, it is the next day. Of course, when Luca gets home, his mother freaks. Also, shout out to Maya Rudolph and Jim Gaffigan who played the parents here.
They're really fun.
Vespa his grandmother covers for him. She said, I sent him out looking for sea cucumbers. That was my bad. And they're like, okay. And she's like, wink, wink, get out there and be someone, son. The next day, Alberto wants to take the Vespa out for a ride down the hill and into the ocean and things. And the whole thing just completely breaks apart. So they do what kids do. Instead of learning their lesson and realizing this is super dangerous, they just build it again. And once again, it breaks apart as well. This is a super fun scene where they jump off the cliff. Reed is on the Vespa, and then there's a part where he uses a sea snail to like sculpt his hair and stuff, and they're becoming friends, which is cool. Luca's mom finds the statue he made and freaks out. And then Alberto tells Luca, he was like, as they're about to jump off the cliff, to silence his inner Bruno. He's like, who's Bruno? He's like, well, Bruno's that little voice that tells you not to do something, and you got to just tell him like, silencia, Bruno. Shut up, Bruno. Be quiet, Bruno.
I do wish they had gone a little further with this because like they never explain why it was named Bruno or anything. And I kind of wish that like
the dude's face, right? There was a picture and it said Bruno on it.
Oh, did it? Okay, I didn't see it.
Yeah, on their makeshift Vespa that they made.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
I didn't catch that.
Well, either way, he musters up the courage to do it, and they both ride down the ramp together, which, by the way, is held up by a turtle, which is hilarious. He's like, that turtle's faster than he looks. We got to hurry up. And then,
oh shit! Is that the turtle they get at the end? In the credits, the turtle and the cat. In the credits, when it's like showing a whole bunch of like future stuff.
I didn't notice that.
My Navy.
The cat's food, and then later the cat has hella babies.
Probably.
And then the turtle's next to it eventually and has its own little. It gets named and stuff.
Yeah, it might be. That's cute. Also, shout out to the cat in this. Hilarious.
Oh, fucking god!
Fucking funny.
I love that they knew that they're like, the cat doesn't need to actually do anything funny. He's funny looking, so let's just have him there all the time, and it worked every single time.
They just nailed that like kind of complacent Italian cat. You know what I mean?
But also, I love that the cat hated them because they were mermaids, you know, and it knew.
Like fish.
It knew, so then they had to like win it over with food.
Mm-hmm. Very easily, by the way. They just feed it a fish and it's now their best friend.
Yeah, and it's so good because like when we're introduced to the cat, I'm wondering what's going to be this animal's gimmick. Like what's going to be this animated animal's gimmick? There's always one. There's always, what does the lizard do in fucking in Rapunzel? What does the fox say? Thank you, Tim. And so I loved that all it did was just get mad. and like, it wasn't so anything funny. Overly crazy or creative, but it worked so damn well. And every time it was on screen, I laughed.
Well, it would attack Luca too every time, right?
It did attack him like a face hugger. Yeah.
Yeah.
It came at him like a spider monkey. Luca tells Bruno to Silenzio, and they finally ride down the ramp, almost smashing into the rock down below. But Luca thinks fast and kicks the Vespa apart, and they land. Everything's good. That night, they stare up at the anchovies in the sky. Luca wonders what the human town is like. He says, wouldn't it be amazing if we could have a real Vespa? And they dream about riding through the countryside together while a group of wild Vespas chase after them. And I love that in his imagination, Vespas are like sentient beings,
gazelle,
like animals. Yeah. And of course they.
Real quick, I want to shout that you already mentioned that the mom saw the statue.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they also nailed the like Italian or Latin mom that'll be like notice something and then investigate further instead of just bringing it up that night. So like we see throughout this, the mom is kind of investigating further to like they follow him one time, then another time they like.
Yeah,
are exploring the goats and seeing what the hell's going on there, where they find the other toys and stuff, and it's just like, man, that's exactly how my mom would do it.
Let it go.
It up. Yeah, no. I'm gonna ask him what he was doing, and then when he lies to me, I'll have all the real answers, and I'll throw it in his face.
Oh.
Like, that is a stark difference between your mother and my mother. The second my mother noticed that statue, I would have heard her screaming from wherever I was in the world. And I would have been like, I would have known by the tone of her scream that I had been found out and that I was doubly screwed. That's what I would have known. Let's see.
Before we move on, though, let me tell you about our sponsors.
This show is brought to you by Faraday Brand. Can it be? It's finally summer, and we're actually gonna have a real summer this year. So naturally, we started thinking about looking good after a year and some change, because we're going places. This summer is what Kinda Funny is calling Hot Boy Summer. You saw my jean jacket, you see the haircut, we're doing it big this summer. And that's where Faraday comes in, to make the perfect clothes for summer. Faraday is a family-run brand making high-quality, timeless clothing with modern design and functionality. You know when you're searching for that ideal summer outfit, that set, that shirt, that dress that feels like you've had them for years. Maybe it's in a gorgeous print and it fits so perfectly that it feels almost too good to be vintage, but still looks like it might be. Well, that's Faraday. Tim Gettys is the most stylish person I know, and even he loves Faraday brand clothing. And they're so confident in the quality of their stuff, they have a lifetime guarantee of quality. They'll replace or fix your clothes forever, no matter what. And to top it all off, Faraday is giving all our listeners 20% off. That's 20% off. So stock up on all your clothes for the summer now. Head to FaradayBrand.com and use code MORNING at checkout to snag 20% off all your summer gear. That's code MORNING at Faraday, F-A-H-E-R-T-Y, brand.com for 20% off. We're also brought to you by Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. It's time to join the resistance because Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade for PlayStation 5 is here. The shadowy Shinra Corporation is draining the planet's life force for their own gain, but all is not lost. The mercenary Cloud Strife teams up with Tifa, Barrett, and Aerith to take Shinra down. Whether they succeed depends on you. We are so excited for Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. This definitive edition of the award-winning Final Fantasy VII Remake has expanded graphical, gameplay, and system enhancements, and it brings Final Fantasy's visuals to a new level. It's got more realistic backgrounds, it's got better lighting, it's all around beautiful to look at. Intergrade also gives you the ability to switch between graphics mode if you want 4K, and performance mode if you prefer super smooth action with 60 frames per second. On top of it, Intergrade even comes with episode Intermission, a brand spanking new episode featuring Wu-Tai ninja Yuffie as the main character. Play as Yuffie as she conspires with Avalanche HQ to steal the ultimate materia from the Shinra Electric Power Company. Play as new characters and enjoy an expanded gameplay experience featuring multiple new combat additions. And if you've already bought Final Fantasy VII Remake for PS4, you can download a free enhancement for the PS5 console. Episode Intermission is available as a separate purchase after you upgrade. Buy Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade for PlayStation 5 today. Go to squex.link/remakekfms. That is squex.link/remakekfms.
Back at it, of course, they're still in this dream world where together they ride the Vespa up a giant ramp into the night sky amongst the sea of anchovies that are floating around with that big old fish protecting them. But when Luca, of course, reaches out to touch the fish, everything turns to rain. He turns back into a sea monster and starts falling into the world below. But soon the dream turns, when Luca returns home, his parents confront him about his surface world outing. And thankfully, Uncle Ugo has been called in to take Luca down to the deep, where you can have all the whale carcass you can eat.
Horrifying.
And this is a direct transcript of the funniest part of this entire movie. He says, "It's just you and your thoughts. All the whale carcass you can eat. Little bits of it just float into your mouth. You can't stop it. You can't see it. So if the mouth opens, the whale carcass goes in. Yes, good. I recommend it."
It was fucking perfect dialogue. Like, how did they write it that well? It's like, I don't understand.
They didn't. They wrote it.
He must have
Sacha
just
Baron Cohen just read it the first time, and it was totally messed up. And they were like, "That's the take."
It felt like they wrote it and then just took out random words.
Yeah.
And then we're just like, okay, now read the script.
No, I bet the direction was, "Hey, have you ever got a text message from someone who's like your grandma and they don't use punctuation? Read it like that."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so
amazing.
funny. It was so funny. He's so creepy looking. Why is he transparent? Like why? Like you know?
why did they punch his heart?
Heart attack.
It's because he's underwater so deep. He's not getting any natural light, so he doesn't need to like reflect light. And they punch the heart because of the pressure, right? Because there's a lot less water pressure up top.
Andy?
I think.
Science with Kev.
I know fish.
I mean, I don't know any fish in particular, if I'm being totally honest.
I'm not
My best friend's a
personally acquainted with fish.
You got that turtle. That's kind of a fish.
No, it's not. It's a reptile.
Turtles are the
Very
fish of the sea.
They are the fish of the sea. Tim nailed it.
different. Turtles are the fish of the sea.
Put it on the box.
I think
Exactly.
I don't even. I can't even do the math there.
Luca's mom tells Luca that he's going to go stay with his uncle
anything?
Ugo for the rest of the season, so he'll be safe. And then let's see, Luca freaks and takes off, and Alberto tells him he can hide here with him. And he's like, "Well, they're going to find me here." He's like, "Well, let's head over to the human town, so they can go over and they can talk to Signor Vespa, and have them make him a Vespa." And he says, "Wait, do you really think there's a Senior Vespa?" And he's like, "Yeah, it makes sense, right?" He goes, "Yep, continue." Like they just immediately buy into this.
So good. All of it again makes exact sense for like a child's mind.
Luca once again, of course, confronts that inner fear with his inner voice and says, "Silenzio, Bruno," and leaps off, literally and metaphorically, a cliff with Alberto. And together the duo swims toward the human town. Luca tries to... I
gotta say, I know that I'm becoming an old ass man. Because the first thought I have, where one of the quotes that kids are going to watch this movie and say over and over and over, is the thing about gravity that I'm not remembering right now. But do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, they're just like gonna test or I forget exactly.
It says something like "get me gravity" or something like that.
Yeah,
and like if it was all based on the jump into the water, that'd be one thing. But he does it when he's jumping off of a 40-foot tall tower
into a tree,
onto the floor, and I'm just like, y'all need to not do this, man.
But like they must have,
because of Luca. This blood is on your hands, Pixar.
Terrible.
But they must not have.
Maybe Disney's making the right call, Kevin.
That's what I was gonna say, Kevin. That's why they're fucking over Pixar.
Yeah, like 5 years from now, Pixar's just a memory. I'm gonna blame you guys for it. I hope you know that. You
fucked up with Disney doing
did it together. They must have different biology. Like they would have broken their legs for sure.
They're
like,
fish. They're like they don't have bones.
Human children that are gonna watch this movie.
Oh yeah, they're all gonna break their legs. Pixar's gonna have a lot of lawsuits on their hands. But hey, you know what? I made it through the 80s, so can they. Let's see, where do we leave?
Point, Nick. Good point.
They try to communicate. Oh, they make it into town. Berto finally manages to get him to the heart of the town, where Luca is mesmerized by everything. Of course, they don't understand what any of these human parlances mean, and so when they go by two old ladies, Alberto goes, "What's?" Alberto tells
Stupido.
Luca, "What's wrong with you, stupido?" And of course, that means "What's wrong with you, stupid?" And so the old ladies just knock him out with their bags. Luca spots some old artwork some tile work of the townsfolk killing sea monsters, and that's kind of like their banner, or their masthead, I think is what it would be, and it's everywhere. And he wants to run.
That's another editing thing, like Andy was talking about, where it's like I don't feel like they normally do those like quick like movements and stuff like that between things.
Yeah. It's very cute. Of course, they want to run until Ercole Viscotti, 5-time winner of the Porto Rosso Cup, rolls in with a beautiful red Vespa, which he paid for with his winnings.
I'm glad that they mentioned that he is like 17-ish, right? Because he was too old. He was 16-year-old last year at the tournament, so he's probably like 17 or 18 this time. But I do like that they had to make that differentiation, because for a second there, I thought, is this how like an adult looks in this world? Like, is this dude really 35? I'm so confused by it. And then other kind of adults walked near him, and he was still kind of the same size. Like, we need to work with the height proportions more in this world.
Andy,
I get the read that he was an adult. I don't think he was 17. I feel like, oh, you were 16 last year. I think that was just like, he's just making up his age. Totally.
No, I think he was supposed to be like
it's
16,
like a
17.
Small town.
Yeah,
right?
they were making fun of they were making fun of the fact that he keeps joining this thing. I think he really is like a 17 or 18-year-old who could barely grow a mustache, and Vespas are his life, and this is kind of all he cares about and focuses on. I don't think he's like an actual. You think he's like an actual like 28-year-old or something? I don't think so.
I got the read he was like 25.
Well, either way, I will say
don't
this:
think so,
this guy, the actor that plays this character, knocked it out of the park for me. The way they introduce him, the way he's set up, everything he does, I think is just perfect Italian bad guy / idiot.
He's
sort of
great.
Thing.
He's great.
His Chicho's fantastic when Chicho dives to catch the Vespa, and he's like, "Baby, are you okay?" or whatever it is. He goes, "I'm okay." And he's like, "No, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the Vespa." All that stuff is great. And of course, he immediately starts giving Alberto and Luca shit because they smell. And so he tries to grab Luca and force him into the fountain to give him a bath, which of course he doesn't want to do because it'll reveal his full form. But thankfully, Spulia, or Julia, as her real character's name, and rolls in and saves them. Julia, of course, entered the race last year, but threw up because of one portion of it. You're like, that's kind of weird. So they told her to stop. And he goes, that's even worse.
Stop joining this. Yeah.
Of course, she asks Alberto and Luca why they're in town. Are they in town for the race? And then tells them that if they win, they get money. And they go, oh my God, is that going to be enough to buy that Vespa? And they point to one that's really beautiful, like avocado colored Vespa. And she goes, no, but you might be able to get that one. And it's just this old rust bucket. And they're like, we're in. It's perfect.
Not only
I love her. She's so dope. And I did not expect another character to be added. And like, I think she was added at the right time because we got the good relationship between the two mains. But adding her, love the dynamic that she added to the entire thing. And like, she really made the movie for me.
And of course, the big beef here is that you have to beat Ercole, which Julia wants to do as much as possible. It's a grueling triathlon that they're about to endeavor into, which requires 3 different legs: one that is swimming, one that is cycling, and of course, it wouldn't be an Italian triathlon without an eating contest.
Man, the pasta in this movie looks. It looks so
they
good.
Talked about it, I was like, oh, that sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty
Kevin,
good.
can you imagine with some Texas toast or just like some bread or garlic bread and dipping it? Oh my God, dude, I want pasta so bad.
Andy,
Greg Miller, where are you? Where are you, Greg?
He's down to us. He's in LA.
Andy, real quick. One thing we learned from HelloFresh: you get butter, you put it in a pan, melt it down, add garlic powder to it, and then put that on bread. Instant garlic bread. It's incredible.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
We used to do like sourdough pieces of sourdough bread, butter, garlic salt. That's it. Garlic bread. Boom. Also, I watched this entire movie while eating a salad, and it was incredibly disappointing. The salad, not the movie.
Oh no!
Yeah, it was bad. I was like,
that's why Nick is like, this is like a 6 out of 10.
it literally made me want penne pot, like a pesto sauce on the pasta
amazing.
so badly.
It looked amazing.
Maybe I'll get that this weekend. Julia, of course, they want to be a part of her team. They're like, we're in. We want to help you out with this. And it is a team sport. So Julia reluctantly agrees to give them a tryout. She says, Santa Mozzarella. Luca sucks at riding a bike. It turns out this is his first time. He's got a lot of catching up to do.
Never done anything.
Yeah, you guys suck.
It's so dumb. And funny that they're like, yeah, we'll do it. And then it's like, he's never been on a bike before. He doesn't even know how to go. The other kid... When they're like brought like food for the first time and they're like he's holding the fork, he's like, I don't know what to do. He grabs it.
It's really interesting though, because and I'm not to criticize sort of the ending, but Tim kind of talked about how it comes abruptly and does manage to pay off a lot of the things that were set up, but just barely. And to me, when they said, hey, there's going to be a swimming portion of this, I was going to go, cool. Now we've got a problem, right? Now we have a challenge to overcome, because the second any of these kids, the 2 kids get in the water, they're going to have to reveal their true form. So we're going to get to that precipice where they go, either I have to tell everyone who I really, really am, or I have to lose this competition, right? But we never get there.
The interesting thing is the solution is that he wears a diving suit, which is like cool, interesting. He's going to swim in a diving suit. But then we cut back to him and he's fucking walking. And no one is like, oh, it's weird. That kid's been down there for 15 minutes.
Yeah. How's he surviving?
He actually didn't have to go all the way to the post. He could have just like been down there for a bit and be like, I walked all the way over there, came back.
Yeah. Especially since it seems like pretty much everyone, including Luca, has cheated at the pasta part. Like there's a couple noodles still in there. I was like, you didn't finish that. No Italian Joey would ever get up from that plate with a noodle still on there. Okay, what you do is you finish all your noodles
left behind.
You take a piece of bread and then you got to clean that plate off with the bread. That's where all the sauce and the gravy goes right into your mouth. It's a delivery mechanism.
I definitely don't disagree with you, Nick, about the whole swimming portion of this race. I definitely don't disagree with you, and how you kind of expect that to be the moment that this movie kind of the conflict sort of meets, because what I expect to happen is Tim, think of a movie called, I don't know, Brink.
Top Gun.
Do you know how many times I bought up Brink during this fucking movie? Yeah, it was plentiful.
the downhill race. Like I expect homegirl, their best friend, she's about to go out there, she trips, She eats fucking sand, like rocks in her face. Her face is all mangled up. She's fucked up. She's going to be in the hospital for months, at a time. And somebody has to do the swimming portion. And how are they going to do it? How are they going to do it, Tim? Or Nick? Or the girl goes out there. She gets pulled by something underwater. Who's going to go save her?
Right. Yeah. Perfect example. Right. And then he pops up from the water like it's a sea monster. And then everyone goes, no, that's my friend. And then they continue the race. But it was also kind of weird to me when he goes, I'm going to go back and win that race. And then he goes to enter the race and he's like, I'm going to be a one-man team.
Why?
And you're like, why?
What the actual fuck?
What is the point of that? She's like, and she even says, why? She's like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm going to win this race. And she's like, but I want to win the race. Like, if you win the race, then I don't win the race.
A noodle in your life.
Right.
Man, come on.
I've taught you how to do this. I thought he was going to, here's how I thought
Like,
once we
don't
got
fuck
to
me here.
I thought it was going to be like, he goes back and says, I know we're a person down, but I still want to help you win this race because, I owe it to you and I owe it to Alberto. Mm-hmm. And then on that third leg, it is the swimming portion. He's like, I don't want to do it. I'm so scared. And then Alberto would come and run and jump in and be like, I'll take the hit for you and do the thing. I don't know how they were going to do it, but either way, I think it was a kind of a missed opportunity because the ending felt a little thin to me. But we're not there just yet. Oh no! By the time they got to the train, I was like, I'm crying right now. But it's because they just had to know how to write a good phrase.
But we'll get to that part after a word from our sponsors.
Already did that. Andy.
Sorry, Tim. I had to do it.
It was good. It was good. Though.
It was good. Somebody just immediately was like, "Do I skip?" Okay, no, they're here. They're back. Anyway, Luca pleads with Julia. She says, "My family's going to send me somewhere terrible. If I don't win this race, if I win the race, we can be free." And Alberto will eat. Luca will bike, and Julia will swim. It's decided. They head to Julia's house that night to meet her father, who is huge and missing an arm. He shows Julia a picture of the paper with a sea monster from that day, and then feeds the boy some pasta, which Alberto absolutely devours, while the cat watches them with a lot of suspicion because he saw him change and he's like, I don't like these people. And that the cat, the annoyed cat growl. What do we call that, Kevin? What is that sound thing?
It's just like a warning.
It's a growl, though, right? It's not your typical.
Not
growl.
A purr.
No, not a purr, Joey. It's a great call.
It's not a murmur.
That's what they call it.
They call it the murmur.
The cat.
Anyway,
the murmur.
He murmurs, and it's hilarious. And this
a murmur is like that's
it's a growl.
When you hear murmurs of people talking about so and so, like a murmur is like a whispering kind of.
Look,
a cow.
You say tomato. I say murmur.
I say murmur.
Okay? Look, I'm looking at it right now. The definition of murmur: a soft, indistinct sound made by a person or group of people speaking quietly or at a distance.
Type in cat murmur and see what happens on YouTube.
Perfect. That is a cat.
Isn't it also like a medical condition?
That was almost good.
A heart murmur?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, that is all right.
Friday after E3 every week.
What was that cat doing? Yeah, it was giggling.
But like legitimately, a cat growl, like that is.
It was
how
chortling.
Right? That's how a cat growls, and hisses.
Yeah.
I'm looking up cat growls.
I mean, when it's like that's one thing, but like that's like a warning. Like, but you better back up. It's like a cat. Yeah, Kevin. It's like when Lulu growls at me and Barrett because we walk 4 feet away from her. You know.
Anyway,
who's that? Is that you, Kevin?
Julia's
YouTube cat growling.
Oh.
Yo, guys. Joey hit her mouth behind the mic just a little bit. And I was like, holy fuck, is Joey a cat? That is insane.
What's funny is I don't have the stream on right now, so I have no idea what you guys are talking about. Y'all just sound insane.
It's a weird noise. Guys, it was a lot.
No. Cat's murmur. I Googled cat murmur, and there's a whole bunch of shit, dude. ASMR sounds murmur of a cat.
And it was that noisy cat.
Everyone listening to this podcast, I need you to pause this and go over to listen to 3 hours of cat murmuring ASMR on YouTube. And let me know in the comments below what you thought.
I googled cat murmur and I got heart murmur.
It's like the heart murmur.
That's something else, Tim. That's something else.
I don't know, man. Type the cat murmur to YouTube. It tells a different story.
Did.
Anyways, back
all of it
to
is
the
heart
plot.
murmur. And there is
There
one
it is.
No, I
ASMR sound.
found a
murmur.
10-minute video.
Yeah, 10 minutes 52
All right.
seconds, right?
We'll watch that in the post show. But
Yeah.
back to the plot right now, ladies and gentlemen. Julia's papa doesn't want her to enter the race because, besides, he doesn't want her to get embarrassed, but also they don't have the money for the entry fee. He needs more fish in the net. Julia tells him, and Luca says, hey, maybe we can help by selling out our entire species. Also, the cat, whose name is Machiavelli, really does not like them. And it's hilarious. Julia tells them they can stay in her hideout for the night, and this is buona notte. The next morning, Luca's mother and father come ashore and turn into humans to find them. Unfortunately for Luca and Alberto, it has rained the night before, so they wake up on a little bit of a tizzy because they're in their seafaring form. Once again, the cat keeps an eye on them. Every time, I like that the cut where they're like, "Oh, we're okay." They look up, the cat's just a perch, like, this is so funny.
It's every time. And they do it like 7 times, and it's funny every fucking time.
Julia's father takes them out on the boat, and of course they're very, very careful not to get water. The cat is there and attacks him again, and this is the funniest cut in the whole thing because it attacks him and he throws it into the water, and then it just cuts to him like right on the same perch, like
scared
freaked
to no
out
end.
by it.
Yeah.
Still murmuring a little bit according to Tim, but then he gets a fish stuffed in his mouth from Luca, and then all of a sudden they're best friends. Let's see. Julia's father tells him he was born missing an arm. And then they tell him, he was like, I wish I could just find more fish. And they're like, well, the reason you can't find more fish is because right now we're right above a haunted fish graveyard. And he goes, what? And he goes, well, we don't think it's haunted, but the fish do, which is funny. He's like, but I bet there's a bunch of fish like right over in that little area right there. He's actually, they kind of like, where would the fish be right now? All right. They'd be right over there. And of course, it works. And they come home with a massive haul of
sells
fish.
them out, dude.
Just
I got to
sell 'em out.
imagine that these fish are in the fucking boat being like, really, dog? Like this is what you did this.
I don't think they're homies. I think that the fish are food for the mermaids too.
Mm-hmm.
But
then
like,
aren't they taking the fish away from the sea monster town?
True,
people?
that's true.
There's plenty of fish in the sea.
Is there going to be a fish shortage?
Too many of them. There's like 4 sea monsters.
Yeah, but they don't live just in the sea in general.
No,
They
I'm
live
not
in a
getting any
specific
credit for saying that. I mean,
maybe
I
with
fucking
some fish
nailed it.
shortage.
That was pretty good, Kevin. Pretty
Okay,
good.
Thank
I didn't hear it
you,
coming,
right? We're laughing
There's
at
plenty
fucking
of
Nick
fish in the
for
sea.
saying flesh. Ew,
like
don't look
flesh.
at me like
that. Of course, they come home with a big score. Luca's dad, of course, as they continue to look for the kids, knocks kid to the ocean, but he's not Luca. And then, meanwhile, the kids head to enter into the race, who was led by Signora Marcialese, who's played by Amy Poehler. And I apologize. I'm just going to go ahead and apologize right now for any native Italian speaking people for me slaughtering the language because I'm not pronouncing these words very well. This reminds me of Italian class, Andy, where I'm like, I got this, I nailed this, and then I have to give an oral presentation, and I totally freeze up and say everything way too quickly with the wrong enunciation. Anyway.
It's okay, we're proud of you, man.
Ercole rolls in and tells Ciccio to steal Julia's money. It's Ciccio and Guido, by the way. I think they're the 2 friends. It's so funny. Alberto wants to fight them, but Julia stops him, thinking better. And Luca,
the second Italian character in Pixar named Guido.
Always Guido.
And it's
Always
a sidekick, kind of like it's a duo,
Always. Luca calls him a catfish, and he's like, why do you call him a catfish? Because those catfish are bottom feeders with only 2 tiny little whiskers coming out of their face. And everyone's like, ooh.
Nailed it.
Burn.
Get
so
fucked,
burn.
loser.
And of course, that is exactly the prompting that Ercole needs to give him his money back. It says, fine, then I'll beat you in the race. 1 week left to train. While practicing swimming, Ercole splashes them and almost reveals Alberto's true form. Meanwhile, Luca's mom is just kicking the shit out of a bunch of kids in the fountain, and it's violent. And she's like, this is going to be a great way to find Luca or get arrested by the authorities who are not present on this island. Luca, of course, sees them and then hides, realizing they're hunting for him. Julia and Luca have a quiet moment and tell each other why each one of them wants to win the race. And it turns out that they have a lot in common. Everyone in town thinks she's weird, and she's not really from here. She splits her time between her dad and her mother lives in Geneva. And that's why everyone kind of looks at her as an outsider. And Luca's like, oh, I know what it's like to be an outsider because I live under the sea. Then
Under the sea.
I know, right? How much do you want to just listen to the Little Mermaid soundtrack after this? I did a lot. Nope, that's Newman.
I am under the sea.
Andy, I really like. I want you to know that when you do that when we're about to do the plot, every time I get very excited for the doodle doot doot parts.
That's really good. Of course, Julia shows Luca what stars really are. She's like, they're not really anchovies, right? And he's like, no, of course they are. She's like, no, let me show you. And then shows him, just unlocks the mysteries of the universe for him, except for Pluto, which is still messed up. No mention of Pluto here, Kevin, and it's messed up.
Not a planet.
But she does.
You want people to mention things that aren't a planet.
I just want respect.
I can't respect
Pluto
it.
deserves respect.
Hey, how about you turn a little bit bigger, Pluto? All right, we all know it. Pluto's.
I mean, but also this movie doesn't take place like in 2020 something. Like this movie, like this
1960s.
Yeah, in the 60s, this Pluto is a planet.
This movie? I don't think this movie took place in the 60s, my guy.
It does in my brain.
Yeah,
but it doesn't in real
life.
life.
Look how quick I am to follow Nick, who says it takes place in the 60s, and I'm like, yeah, it takes place in the 60s.
Yeah.
I mean, that was no idea. That was a modern Vespa. That was a modern Vespa.
Yeah. I mean, Vespa's looking exactly the same as they've looked for years.
Yeah, exactly.
That on the Italian Riviera between the 50s and 60s.
There you go.
Blah, blah, blah.
There you go.
Well, there you go. Sorry, Nick. Sorry for doubting you.
No. There's no reason to apologize whatsoever. That was a complete and total off the top of my head guess. That was not anything that I divined or knew at all. That was me talking out of my ass. Luca dreams about running on the wings of Saturn and flying high in the air on one of those Da Vinci flying contraptions. And all of the flights of fancy he has here, like all the daydreaming, is just so well and beautifully animated. And it's so seamlessly kind of woven in with the reality of the movie and his like child imagination. I think it's so cool. Music is amazing here as well. I think the music is great. And then Julia blows Lucas's mind by teaching him all the secrets of the solar system and the galaxy and the universe at large, and then gives him a book on the subject. But Alberto, this is the first time he's seen his boy with a new friend, and he does not like it. He gets very, very jealous and takes Luca away to go look at their rusty Vespa to kind of keep him focused on the task at hand. Luca wants to, of course, he's like, hey, Julia's going to school in Geneva in a little bit. Maybe I could go visit her. And Alberto's like, what are you talking about? There's no way it's going to happen. It's just not how it's going to go. But of course, they're interrupted by Ercole, who comes to bully them one more. And then, but Alberto kind of stands up for himself a little bit too harshly, and kind of, and then Luca grabs him, or grabs one of those like scary hooks, and is like, get away from him before we start a fight, which then starts a fight with them. He says, why did you make him mad? And Alberto brushes it off. He says, I have it under control. All you got to do is follow my lead, remember? And he's like, okay, well, maybe I can think for myself here a little bit. Training continues while the parents look for Luca. 2 days to the race. We get a funny part where they see a poster that looks like a monster movie, and they're like, oh, it's Uncle Ugo. And then the kids try espresso, and a second later, it's like cocaine. They're just like lifting. He's like bench pressing the cat. It's funny.
So much fun.
Alberto finally learns to eat pasta with a fork. But by now, of course, he's like, oh, look at what I did. And then, but by now, Luca and Julia are just fast friends in their own little world. And Alberto continues to get more and more jealous. Luca's parents finally spot him. So he bikes up a hill and asks Julia if her school is accepting new students. And Alberto is just a super dick. He's like, you don't need to do that. And then he puts Luca on the bike, and he's like, we can do this together. And they do the dreaded downhill slope way too fast and crash into the ocean. Which of course prompts one more argument when they come ashore. Luca, they argue, and Luca tells him that winning the race won't change anything. And he says, I want to go to school. And he says, you're just afraid. He's like, I'm not the one who's afraid. You are the one who's afraid. And then when Julia interrupts and Luca asks if they can come to school with her, she goes, I love that idea. But Alberto's like, you know what? Do they accept sea monsters? And Luca's like, oh, don't do this. That's just a joke. He's just kidding. And then Alberto just takes it upon himself to dive into the water and show Julia what they both really are.
Oh my God. What a gut punch. It hits, and you're just like, I love it because every element, you're just like, I don't want this to be happening for every single character involved.
And it's not what I expected. I expected somebody to interrupt them, right? I wasn't expecting this to be the moment where everybody finds out that Alberto, well, I guess they didn't even know it was Alberto. They just saw a sea monster. But I thought that Alberto was going to splash water on him as the other boys got there. I thought this was going to be like the all is lost moment. For it to somehow be worse, like that, they somehow found out a way to make it more heartbreaking, and it was it stunned me. I was like, oh my God, that's fucked up. I didn't think you'd do him like that. Yeah, it was really good.
And like I really fucking felt it when it happened.
And animating Alberto as well, just like there are harpoons flying at him, and he is not affected by them at all. He's only thinking about, I can't believe the one person in my life fucked me over like that. That's crazy. And he's just like walking slowly, looking back, like, damn, dude, you really sometimes be your own people. Sometimes be your own seamen.
Yeah, Seaman.
Yeah, sea monster is what they
Sea
are
man.
indeed, right?
Sea monsters.
The townspeople, of course, come. They chase Alberto away. When they get home, Julia's dad goes out. He was like, "Where's Alberto?" And they're like, "He left." And this is a really, really touching moment where he goes, "Where did he go?" And they're like, "We don't know." He's like, "Well, I'm going to go out and look for him." And they're like, "Well, you're not going to find him." He goes, "Well, I should go anyway." Like, it was really good.
Yeah,
I was like,
it
"Oh,
was really good.
Yeah.
good guy. Good guy."
I mean, it's so funny because there's this B plot that's happening that is very lightly happening, but it is Alberto and the dad
And the
building
dad
a
bonding.
relationship and bonding, and like you get that climax at the end where you're just like, oh, like that's right.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a father. I mean, it was very clear that Alberto's father had walked out on him, but
Yeah.
like when he's like, nah, I'm gonna stay here. Like it's like this guy needs me now, and it's just like, oh fuck. Like that's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's
like
good.
you guys, yeah,
That's good.
really good.
Because
Really
he needs
good.
a dad too. Yeah, that's good. Of course, Julia right now has put 2 and 2 together and has figured that Luca is also a sea monster. She makes Luca leave. She's like, "It's just too risky for you to stay here. It's not going to be a good idea." So Luca heads back over to Alberto's place to find him and apologize to his friend. And he spots some hash marks on the wall, which represent the days Alberto has been there alone. And he says, "Maybe everyone's just better off without me. You're the good kid. I'm the dumb kid who ruins everything." But Luca tells him, he's like, "You know what? I am going to go. I'm going to go win that race. I'm going to win it and I'm going to make everything right." And then he jumps off the roof. And to Tim's point earlier, kids, don't do this. When I was in Riverside growing up, we used to jump off one-story roofs for no reason. I'm pretty sure that's why I have knee problems to this day. That and the fact that I'm very horribly unathletic. And Andy, you're talking about why Alberto wasn't scared of the harpoon throws. Italians can't throw. We can't throw for shit. Name one Italian.
Okay.
Name one Italian that's ever been a famous baseball player. Exactly.
That's so
He can't
true.
do
Yeah,
it.
no pitchers
Can't
out
do
there.
it.
That's true.
Never one pitcher. Let's see. He says, "I'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to fix this." And Luca decides to go to the race, and then he enters it alone for no reason. And Julia's like, "What
Yeah,
the
he could've
literal
just-
f?" But as the race is about to start, Julia's dad holds up a cute sign for her as Ercole covers Chicho in olive oil. And at first he's like, "Huh?" And then he goes, "Ugh." And he just really likes
Well,
it.
like,
Great.
What does he say? He says something, right? Like it'll make you like cut through water.
Oh yeah,
like
you're gonna
butter,
cut through
Yeah.
water like butter.
Oh,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
he said you're gonna cut through water like a knife covered in butter, right?
Something like that.
Great job on the animators who animated that like shader of the liquid. The
Coming
Yeah.
the
down,
way it
yeah.
looked sort of falling down was so good looking. Yeah, it kind of
So
just
good.
it cascaded down like when you put like a chocolate syrup on a banana. You know.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Or chocolate syrup on anything.
Mhm.
Let's see. Luca shows up in the dive suit, and the Porto Rosso Cup is about to begin. Of course, Luca's parents get tasked with water duty. You're like, that's pretty handy. While the fishermen's and I thought at this point I thought there was gonna be a scene where they're splashing people, but they never. I don't know. They didn't do it, right?
Well, at
I
that
thought,
point,
I
I
thought
feel
we were
like
gonna
they
get a
figured
comedic scene.
they had figured it out.
Oh
right?
right, they knew who it was. That's
Yeah.
right. That's kind of weird to give him that job then. Anyway, let's see. Meanwhile, the fishermen from the village have set up a defensive pattern around the bay to ward off any sea monsters, and off we go. Chicho immediately gets attacked by Anchovy, and Julia wins the first leg of the race, and then off to the pasta eating contest, where she once again almost throws up but does not, and finishes first to head off to her bike. Luca finishes eventually, and then heads up to catch up with everyone, stopping only momentarily when his parents try to corner him. But he rides around them, and his mom's kind of impressed. She's like, "Wow, he rides fast."
I want to give a major shout out to the animation of the bad guy on the bike, because anytime he does anything on the bike,
great.
it's fucking hilarious. But the first time you see him in his little cycling gear and he like talks shit and he bikes away and his little butt goes in the air, just kind of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Great.
Really good. Really,
Oh,
really
great.
good. I enjoyed that.
Luca, of course, takes the lead up the hill as it starts to rain, and he gets pinned in underneath an awning, and he cannot go anywhere, thus without revealing his true form. And who should come to save him but Alberto with a massive umbrella? But Ercole once again intercedes and kicks him down, revealing his true form. When he tries to run diversion to keep Luca cover, but it takes a fishing net to the face. Luca finally decides it's time to show the world who he is and take the heat, and rushes out into the rain to save his friend. Ercole chases them downhill with a fishing hook and almost gets the better of them, but Julia sacrifices her body and knocks him off his bike. Unfortunately, when they wake up, or when they get up, they realize they're surrounded by the townspeople who all have these harpoons. And Ercole tells them everyone is horrified of them because they are disgusting monsters. But Julia claps back and says they're not monsters. And he says, "Oh yeah, then who are they?" And of course, her dad comes in for the save and says, "I know who they are. They are Luca and Alberto." and they are the winners. And then everyone's like, cool.
And you,
Yeah, they very
Well, at
much
first
are
everyone's
like,
like,
fuck, I'm not gonna
and
fight
then
him.
he's
I'm
like-
not gonna fight him.
yeah, and then he's just kind of stands up and stands
Menacing
everyone
as
down. And
fuck.
they're like, well,
but it's like it's obvious what's gonna happen. You shouldn't be surprised that as the dad walks up menacingly, that you're like not one part of you thinks, oh, he's gonna fucking do something to that.
He's
Like,
gonna fucking murder these kids.
you know what's gonna happen,
he's
and
gonna save
it
them.
still works.
Yeah,
it still
works
hits
so
you.
well. It works so
God
well.
damn.
Luca's parents come in with a big hug. They are very happy and angry at him, but mostly happy. And then Signora Marcellese awards them their cup, which seems weird because now we have not one, not two, but three separate teams actually competing for this race. And I'm just going to say, like, what are the bylaws of this race, Tim? Like, we are willy-nilly here, as it were. But
we need to have a high table of judges and judges.
right.
You
Some
know?
sort of Supreme Court of some sort.
I had one question. When Luca stopped, did Hercules also stop? I know it's not his name, but it's close enough.
Oh, Ercole?
Hercule, there it is.
He got knocked off his bike before. She knocked him off, and then Luca's bike kind of rolled over the finish line with him in it. So
No,
I think he technically won the
I meant
race.
way further up, on the top, because
Everyone stopped up there.
but not everyone, because eventually Luca gets going again, and he passes a bunch of people, and it's like, that doesn't make sense, because it didn't seem like there was anyone in front of them. It doesn't matter.
I don't know. Either way, they win. The townspeople back down. Alberto and Luca finally get. There's a cute point where the townspeople look over and see a piece of anti-sea monster propaganda, and they rip it up. And then Alberto and Luca finally get their rusted old Vespa that's falling apart as Julia's father feeds Luca some pasta, and they're like, "This is very nice." Of course, when the camera pans over, Grandma Paguro slides in for a plate too, and they're like, "What are you doing here?" She's like, "Dude, I come to this town every week, and I've been partying with these people." and then as her mom's like, "I'm really worried about Luca," and she's like, "Listen, not everyone's going to accept him, but he's really good at finding those that do." And she goes, "Well, how many people are in Geneva?" And Grandma's probably like, "Oh, like tens of thousands." Yeah, there's probably a lot of people in there that are going to want to kill him. And off we go to the train station.
He just won't get wet. It'll be fine.
It's a much bigger city. Yeah, there
Dude.
might be more people that are accepting, but even more that want to hang him, want to put his head up on the wall, have him be the new talking Leaping Larry, or what's the bass name?
Slammin' Salmon.
Slammin' Salmon. I don't think it's either of those.
I
said Leaping Larry. You're closer than me.
Oh, I've been muted for so long and I didn't know it.
Oh my God, Joe, Jesus!
And your mouth's blocked by the mic, so we don't know you're talking.
It was Big Mouth Billy Bass.
Big
there
Billy
we go,
Bass.
Joey,
Coming in with the
blood.
save.
Leaping Larry and Slammin' Salmon. Pretty close.
Yeah, I do like how they kind of dealt with because those lines of dialogue were a little bit weird, where it's like, yeah, no, this isn't going to end well for this kid. But I like the mom being like, I think it was the mom. It's like, oh, he seems to have a good judge of character. Like, he finds himself with the right people. And in the credits, when you see him kind of go through the journey with the new kids he meets at the other place, and there's like a whole bunch of people that see him in his true form. I was like, that's really cool. I like that they had that little bit. Like, Pixar's always really good about doing the epilogue stuff and fun little pictures in the credits, but I think this might be the best use of it they've ever had.
Interesting. I think so. I agree. Let's see. Of course, they go over to see Julia off to the train station as she's about to go back to school. And then they both get a great big hug. She says, and then Luca's like, "All right, let's go get our Vespa." And Alberto surprised him. He's like, "Yeah, I sold it." He's like, "What do you mean you sold it?" And of course, he sold it to buy him a train ticket to go to school as well. His parents come around the corner and tell him we got it all figured out. Alberto took a little convincing, but Alberto talked us into it. And then Luca tells his mom, he says, "Mom, look at me in the eyes. I love you. Everything's gonna be okay." And then he tells Alberto, he's like, "Come on, man, we got to go. The train's gonna be leaving soon." But Alberto's like, "Yeah, sorry, man, I can't go with you." Massimo kind of asked me if I'd stick around and help him out, and I kind of want to. And he goes, "Well, I can't do this without you." And he says, "You're never without me. Next time you jump off a cliff or tell Bruno to quit bothering you, that's me." And he goes, "But how am I gonna know you're okay?" And he goes, "You know what? You got me off that island, Luca. I'm okay." It's like, damn,
that was a good line. That was a good line.
Yeah.
I wanted to add really quick. There's the moment as the little girl's getting on the train where he's saying goodbye. Alberto's saying goodbye to her, and they do a weird wink thing, and I'm like, "The fuck's going on here?" Like, did they have a weird relationship? And it was that they were just setting up that like they were gonna reveal.
Yeah,
the
him,
Luca
like,
yeah,
but-
yeah, yeah.
But for a minute, I was like,
She was like,
yeah,
and
I was like,
Alberto's
oh
like, I got
shit,
you,
all
bro.
right,
I got
chill
you.
the fuck out, you know?
Damn, dude, what don't I know? A little
She was
love
like, "Kill my
triangle.
dad when you like. I hate my dad. Kill him." And he's like, "I
Damn.
got you. I'll kill him.
God.
I'll
It's funny
kill
where
him."
both of our brains went with that, Andy. It's completely opposite.
No, but I do want to just point out that yeah, this whole final sequence, like obviously we're about to
Great.
get to the writing off moment, and
Yeah.
I'm as close to the open mouth cry as I've ever been since
Mm-hmm.
Avengers Endgame, and I'm not sure why this movie wasn't incredibly impactful, but it still hit me so good, and I think it's the music. And Tim, what does the musical theme remind you of?
Oh, I don't know.
Damn, I really thought you would have gotten it.
I really liked the use of music in that part because the rest of the movie doesn't have anything like it, and it really swells in this like.
Well,
They
that
fucking
was
got us.
that was swelling and like gigantic, right? But the theme that keeps on playing throughout the rest of the movie is so reminiscent of, I guess it's Aerith's theme in Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, okay. I can hear that. Yeah.
That like it reminded me
Well,
so much of. I don't know if it's Aerith's theme, but it's
That's
like
the Final Fantasy VII main theme.
Okay.
But there's some Air's theme in there too. Yeah, that's a good pull.
yeah. Da-na-na-na-na. I kept thinking like, dude, I just heard that. And it's because I had installed Final Fantasy VII
Great.
Remake.
Which we're brought to you by in this episode.
Whoa! Wow!
Oh.
Whoa! That wasn't
Very
me being
cool.
a shill. Yeah, I cried a lot, and even Nick repeating this line right here, like, got me again. I'm
It's
just
good.
like I'm teary eyed. I'm pretending like that. We're telling jokes here, but I'm crying on the inside so hard.
Of course,
such good movies,
Alberto
dude.
wishes him. He says a goodbye in Italian, which he doesn't quite understand, and I couldn't quite understand either because it didn't actually translate it for the screen. And when Luca asks what that means, he goes, "I got no idea. Go find out for me, would you?" And it's very, very endearing. And then as the train pulls away, Luca waves goodbye, and it starts to rain, revealing once again his true form. And he hangs off the cool little thing as he lets the wind blow in his face and the rain blow in his face, enjoying the feeling as the train heads off into the distance.
And Alberto's like, "Fuck yeah, go get him, dog!" Like it's so good.
It's really good. And then we get another fun Italian credit song, and it's just a banger, and it's super cute. And then, of course, we get the animations that showing sort of what happens to
Love
Luca
it.
in the future endeavors at school. And then we get the credit sequence, the post-credit sequence, where we catch up with old Uncle Ugo talking to Giuseppe, and he says, "Some people think I'm mad to live in the deep. I think they're the ones who are mad, not me, the one who is mad. It's them. It's a nice life, simple life, away from all the hustle and bustle, all the stuff you don't want."
Whale carcass.
Whale carcass. Anyway, you gotta have fun. You gotta hear me talk. He's like, you're gonna have fun. You get to hear me talk. I can talk without stopping, sometimes maybe for 12 hours, and you get to listen. So you're lucky. Well done.
Just so
The
incoherent.
So good. Andy hit me with the
They're
haiku
the ones who are
review.
mad, not me, the one who is mad. It's them.
7 syllables in the middle. You need 5 for the first and last line. If you're not poetic, no need to fret. Haikus don't need to rhyme. Haiku in review. Haiku in review.
You go to patreon.com/kindafunny to write your review in haiku form, just like T.I. King did. An ocean of friendship and purpose. Luca's character is found just beneath the surface.
Wow. Wow, that was powerful.
Powerful. Let's see. Zaid Wilson, good movie for pride for those who feel like they're a fish out of water. Doesn't hide that some will not be accepting, but many more will be. Happy Pride.
Oh,
y'all.
that's good.
Oh,
That's
wow.
really good. I didn't catch that. I like
Okay.
that.
Grant Burton says Pixar does Ghibli. Dream big and buy a Vespa. Luca out, monster. And of course, Miscellaneous writes in with the plot in haiku. Luca steps on land. Al violently shakes hand. Luca's mind expands. Mom sends her son down, but he and Al, Vespa bound, off to Human Town. Tries to break the bind, proves that she's scared of their kind, leaves them both behind. The underdogs win. Rain shows truth against their skin. New life can begin. Lucas says goodbye. And you know what made me cry? Look me in the eye.
Oh, man.
Damn, Miscellaneous. Too good.
It's
Too
cute.
damn
Good.
good. All right, Andy, Ragu Bagu.
Ragu. Bagu. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Rad Guys Talk Bad Guys here for the Pixar in Review universe. For the first time in a while, I feel like we got ourselves a banger here because I love this Ercole Visconti character. I think he's just hilarious. I think the animation's great. I think everything they do is with it is just super creative and super fun. So where do we want to put him on the list as it stands right now? Number 1 is Lotsa. Number 2 is the Prospector / Al. Number 3 is Newswater and Randall from Monsters Inc. Number 4, Hopper. Number 5, Syndrome from Incredibles. Number 6, Months and the Dogs from Up. Number 7, Ego and Skinner from Ratatouille. Darla and the Barracuda from Finding Nemo are number 8. Number 9 is Woody and Sid. Number 10 is Gabby. Number 11, Hard Scrabble and the Roars from Monsters U. Number 12 is Otto from Wall-E. 13, Mordu and the Witch from Brave. Chicken Hubris from Cars, and then Axel and Lemons from Cars 2 round out the list. Where are we putting
What
him?
was 10 again?
10 was Gabby from Toy Story 4. She's
I don't
terrifying.
remember what number it was, but I want to say above Ego and Skinner
From Ratatouille.
yes.
Underneath Months and the Dogs. I put him above Months. I think he was great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He was really entertaining.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, my thing is the entertainment factor
Yeah.
bumps him up quite a bit to me. That I would
Me
even
too.
say I'd put it above Hopper, under Newswater and Randall
Wow.
at the
Wow.
number 4.
I can't go above
But-
Hopper.
but my thing is, like,
Wow.
4 to 7, I get it, because under we got Hopper, Syndrome from Incredibles, Months of the Dogs from Up. So anywhere in there,
I'd say
I'm not gonna
above
argue.
Syndrome. I think above Syndrome is a good thing. We have to remember he was threatening people with a harpoon, very even when they were
He wanted to
humans. This kid, you know what I
Kill
mean?
these children.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. It's horrible.
So, like, he's kind of a piece of
in
shit.
daylight, in public.
Also,
No cops around.
lying
Maybe he was the law.
to stay in this competition, and the city just kind of let it happen. That's power.
He's the winner. He's the 5-time champ. Everyone wants to see the champ win. Okay, so who thinks, show of hands, he's above Months and the Dogs? Who? Joey, no. Wow, okay. Who thinks he should be above Syndrome from Incredibles? Who thinks he should be above Hopper from Ants? And there you go.
There you go.
Oh, did I put Ants? I keep putting Ants. That's funny.
Oh, I can never tell if you're fucking around or not. I love it either way.
The list is the list. You know, when we establish these Greg Miller rules, that the list is the list. So there you go. He's going in at number 5, Ercole Visconti.
Cool. Now it's time to rank the Pixar universe. Andy or Kevin, can you please bring up the rankings that Andy made? Currently, number 1, we have Up. Number 2, we have Monsters Inc. Number 3, we have Finding Nemo. Number 4, The Incredibles. Number 5, Wall-E. Number 6, Toy Story 3. Number 7, Toy Story 2. Number 8, Toy Story 4. Number 9, Toy Story. Number 10, Ratatouille. Number 11, Monsters University. Number 12, Cars. Number 13, A Bug's Life. Number 14, Brave. Number 15, Cars.
Mhm.
2.
I think, to me, I'm going to start the bidding off somewhere around the Ratatouille mark. Maybe a little bit above or a little bit below Monsters U.
That's going to be the line of demarcation right there. Is it above the Toy Stories or below the Toy Stories?
I think it's going to go.
Like,
I mean,
this list is so fucked for me. I think this
Yeah,
movie,
it's
I would
hard.
rather watch this than Finding Nemo, but I wouldn't watch.
You're so
I wouldn't
dead
watch any of the Toy Stories above it. Yeah. That's how I feel.
Yeah, see, I kind of agree
and
with
maybe it's just like maybe it's the whole like, it's like how overdone all the Finding Nemo lines became, that just kind of like I'm over it sort of thing, like the just keep swimming and the 15 Wallaby Way or whatever the fuck it's called. Like I just got kind of tired of Finding Nemo. But is it above Toy Story 1? I don't think so, but I do think it's a better movie than Ratatouille. Sorry, Chris Hanka.
Dang.
I mean, I think I'm right there with Andy. 'Cause, I mean, to me, the Toy Story movies are just criminally underrated. Personally, they all to me would be like the top tier. But I would put it at number 10, above Ratatouille, under Toy Story 1.
I think I would put it at 11, even though I think on any given day, I would probably throw on Monsters University just as personal preference. But I do think that, trying to be a little, taking out personal preference. Even though
You
that's
think
what
Wall-E
is
should be number
personal
1?
preference.
Just say it.
I think
Just
Wall-E
say
should be
it.
way lower than 5, but that's just me.
You're
Damn.
When he disease that.
Andy, you rolled the dice and you came up
Crazy.
craps.
I know.
crazy.
So I would say number 11 personally, under Ratatouille.
I'm kind of
I
with
think
Joe on
Ratatouille
that.
is way too low.
Yeah,
I think Ratatouille does a better job developing the plot, truth be told.
I think that this is really tricky. But I think I would put it above Toy Story 1. So I would put it as our new number 9.
Number 9.
I really
let's do
enjoy
the
this movie.
ranking
I
then.
think I just wanted to say last thing. I'm excited to watch this movie again because it was so much fun, and I'm sure that I'm going to rewatch it with Paula soon. So it's good.
And that's how a lot of how I feel about Ratatouille. I think Ratatouille is a very solidly told story front to back, but I was just more entertained with this movie. I think the characters in this, villains and protagonists, were just more fun than Remy and the fucking rat. You know.
Wow.
Remy
Me and
is
the
the
rat.
rat.
I mean, Remy, yeah.
Oh,
Remy
Remy's
was
the
the
rat.
other rat.
Oh, well, who's the other
Remy-
guy?
Jean-Luc
Chad.
Picard.
Remy
Chad.
Malik.
Jean-Luc Picard.
Who thinks it's better than Cars 1? Raise your hand. Everybody raises their hand. Who thinks it's better than Monsters University? Raise your hand.
Yes.
Everyone. Who thinks it's better than Rat Tat 2? We raise your hand.
I cannot give.
Me, Kevin, Andy. Who thinks it's better than Toy Story 1? Raise your hand.
Anyone
Kevin.
can be a human.
Anyone could cook.
Interesting that
Kevin
you
is
didn't.
close.
You don't think it's better than Toy Story 1, Andy? I thought you wanted it higher.
Nothing can break that Toy
No,
Story
but-
block.
It's the Toy Story. I feel like, I don't know, the Toy Story thing. Those movies are probably never going to be separated, and I think a lot of that is us scared to go against tradition.
We are.
Right now, I'm
We
trying
are.
to separate
That's
Andy.
tradition right
Kevin,
now.
Kevin already broke it. Kevin's not scared to do so, and I
I'm not
appreciate
afraid
the
of
bravery.
tradition.
The bravery.
He ain't afraid of no ghosts.
But I think just the cast of Toy Story 1, it's undeniable. It's unbeatable. It's amazing. What more could be said about Toy Story 1? I would like to, however, rewatch them, and by the end of it, have my own personal ranking just to say, here's what I would have done.
Me too.
And that has been Pixar in Review, adding Luca to the list. Next week, we are returning, like I said, with Fast 9. And what is the next Pixar movie? I think it's The Good Dinosaur.
The
but
dinosaur. Yeah.
Movie
hold on.
sucks.
Let me confirm this.
Weird animation style. Like, freaks me out.
Let's go. Next week, we do.
No,
in fact-
actually, we're not
Oh.
doing that because aren't we doing Space Jam?
You know what? Stay tuned to the update that Joey's going to post next week, and then we'll figure out what movie we're doing. I think we're doing Ninja Turtles and Fast next week, so Pixar's taking a break. We're doing Space Jam at some point. I don't think we officially announced that, but Joey just did. That's a great. The best way to announce anything. Pump up the jam, pump it up if you're feeling funky. But until then, love you guys. Bye.